Hi, I'm David Dindino, and on October 25th, 2010, I'm running for mayor of St. Catharines. I'd like to talk to you a little bit about some of the things that have happened in the campaign and give my take on them, and also to issue one last plea to the voters of St. Catharines. You've probably heard many stories about the election, about an email and a phony voice message and whatnot, and I can honestly say that I have had nothing to do with it. The St. Catharines Standard has done everything they can to paint me with this brush, to blame me for doing things that they had no proof to substantiate that I did. I did not make any allegations to City Hall about corruption in City Hall. I did not fabricate any evidence against Brian McMullen. I made no personal attacks whatsoever. The truth is that I was presented with some very, very serious evidence. I wasn't sure what to do with it, if it was worth investigating, or if it was worth sending to the police, or if it should be disregarded. I wanted to ask for some advice on what I should do with that evidence, but before I even had the opportunity to do so, my email account was hacked by somebody, and email information was extracted, an email was fabricated, and then sent via a fake Gmail address to all over the city, specifically to the press. It was a cold and calculated attempt for someone to discredit me. There's no other reason why someone would go to such lengths to make me look foolish. I won't say who I suspect it is. I'm sure that the voters will make their own conclusions about that, but make no mistake, this was a cold and calculated attempt to make me look bad, to destroy me. Why? Because I've been gaining momentum in the election. I've fashioned a election strategy that's focused on very simple priorities: protecting the environment, a municipal crime prevention strategy, an economic investment strategy to discover what the barriers are to investment here in St. Catharines and make us more competitive within the province and across the country, donating to charity, increasing transparency and accountability, and working with regional transit, among other promises. This is a very simplistic platform with no expensive spending promises. This was a threat to Brian McMullen and his friends on City Council. This is a very, very viable platform which takes into account the absolute critical needs of the city going forward. This is a threat to politicians because politicians have made a history on making very elaborate promises that everyone wants to hear. They tell people exactly what they want to hear, people vote for them, and they let them down. I don't want to be that kind of politician. I don't want to be a politician at all. I just want to be a leader. I'm just a guy who didn't like what was going on in his community, and I stepped up to the plate. And what's happened? Apparently I've made some noise because very powerful people have taken notice of that and have done everything that they can to destroy not only my reputation but my family's reputation. And that I can't allow to happen. Anyone who knows me will know that when I'm attacked, I fight back. I'm a very vigorous defender of my name and my personality. I'm very proud of who I am. I'm very proud of my family. I'm very proud of our contributions to the community here in St. Catharines, and I'll be damned if I allow anybody to destroy that reputation with false allegations and selfishness. So yes, I have been a very, very fierce defender of my name. And I'm telling you today, the voters, that I've had nothing to do with this. I had absolutely nothing to do with Brian McMullen's voicemail. In fact, it's physically impossible for me to have obtained his code and changed that. I had nothing to do with that. This email, again, we've traced the IP address of the individual, and we're just trying to get an identification, but we will find out who the gives a damn person is and what his or her agenda was for fabricating that email. I'm confident in the Niagara Regional Police that they will conclude their investigation and that my name will be cleared in that regard. But I have made no personal attacks and no allegations against Brian McMullen, and I'm very upset at what the Standard has said because it's clearly libelous and false. I've asked them to remove a number of the things that they've reported, but of course they will not because they don't have the proof to back it up. And so obviously there are consequences. When you write things about people that are not true, there are consequences for that. And I promise the voters that there will be consequences for every person who lies to them. In this election, I've made helping out those less fortunate a crucial plank in my platform. Our economic investment strategy is evidence-based. I have gone to other cities. I've spoken to academics across the province, trying to get their opinions and their help on answering a very simple question that no one wants to ask. Why is our economy faltering? Everyone experienced an economic downturn in the latter part of 2007 and 2008. Everyone, worldwide. Problem is that provinces like BC, who were supposed to be crippled by a carbon tax, have actually had their economies grow 10% with that carbon tax and the economic downturn. Other places like Kitchener-Waterloo have regional transit, regional crime prevention, a very simplistic regional governance strategy that is not unlike our own, and they have not had the problems that we have had. Why? I don't understand the shame in calling up someone from Kitchener or calling someone up from Mississauga or Burlington and saying, hey, I like what you're doing, you've done a better job than we are, why can you help us out? This isn't high school, ladies and gentlemen. There's no shame in asking for help. There's no shame in copying someone else's ideas, because frankly we have too much invested and too much at stake to be trying insane experiments in order to try and be original. Made in St. Catharines strategies don't always work, especially when cheaper, more effective, tried and true strategies are out there. We just have to ask for them. But the mayor and his friends on council are unwilling to do that. They're unwilling to say, we need help. And I think that being able to ask for help in times of trouble is a sign of humility, and every government should have humility. No one expects government to have all the answers. Sometimes you just need to lean on your friends, and unfortunately this council has been unwilling to do so. And as a result, you, the voters, are suffering from it. 20% of our population is not working. Almost 10% are on unemployment benefits currently. Over 15% are low income or are straddling that poverty line. What is being done for them? There's an old adage that has persisted throughout the ages, and it says very simply that future generations will judge us by how we treated the weakest of our people. If St. Catharines still exists 100 years down the road, what will those voters say about us? Instead of helping the less fortunate, instead of helping our drug addicts and homeless people get into therapy, regain their lives, we're spending $20 million on solid gold swimming pools. Instead of helping those who are close to the poverty line, who can barely make ends meet, we're spending $20 million on a parking garage. Instead of helping our downtown business owners, which have been the core of our economy for decades, we're charging them more tax to operate downtown than we're charging Walmart and big box stores to operate on 4th Avenue. Anyone with any sort of education, anyone who's even seen a television show or read a book, will tell you about the Walmart effect. The Walmart effect is very simple. Walmart comes into a small town because they can produce products in China cheaper than our local merchants can. They can sell them in larger quantities for cheaper than our local merchants can, and they flush out all of our small businesses. And what has the city done? Well, they've attracted more and more Walmarts. We have a Walmart on Welland Avenue. We have a Walmart on 4th Avenue. We might have another one moving across the street on Welland Avenue, a superstore. This is our main source of employment. Walmart, $8 an hour with no union, no benefits, no protection for their workers. This is the progressive St. Catharines that Brian McMullen is saying, yes we can, yes it's happening. No, Brian, it's not happening. If you look at the debate that occurred a couple of weeks ago at the St. Catharines Thorold Chamber of Commerce debate at Simcoe, Brian said, oh, it's happening, we have cranes in the sky. Well, 9 out of those 11 cranes are building government buildings. And while about 50% of our employees are working in the government sector, what about the other 50%? 9 out of those 11 cranes are cranes from other cities, like Bonfield, which is using primarily Toronto labor, not local labor. How are these buildings addressing the underlying problems that face our economy? How are these buildings lowering the red tape that makes it impossible to get a business permit here in St. Catharines? Why is it that in St. Catharines it takes 3 times longer to get a business permit than anywhere else in the Niagara region? Imagine trying to open a chain of stores in Niagara. You want your flagship store to open in St. Catharines, you want another store open in Niagara Falls, and another one in Niagara-the-Lake. In St. Catharines, it takes 12 months to get your business permit. In Niagara-in-the-Lake, it takes 2. In Niagara Falls, it takes 5. Well, if you wanted a simultaneous launch, it's impossible, and your main store will be opening 8 months later than your smaller ones. Who in their right mind would want to do business here? And that's a main problem that has never been addressed. Brian McMullen's aware of it, but as small business owners will tell you, his response has been the same. I'll look into it, I'll throw more money at it. Well, no, Mr. Mayor, it's not a matter of money. It's a matter of the people who are doing it and the policies they are working under. There's been a lot of talk about construction in the election. We're constructing a new arts center, we're constructing a new pool, we're constructing a new garage. Buildings do not revitalize communities. It is people that revitalize communities. What is being done to attract new people and retain those that we have here? Nothing. The only people that Brian and council are attracting are retirees from other cities. People who don't want to live in Toronto anymore. They want to live out the rest of their days in St. Catharines. Well, there's a problem with that. First of all, our workforce is shrinking and our demographics are changing. With the baby boomers retiring, there's no one to take the jobs available here, and businesses are closing up because of a shortage of labor. Secondly, while it's good to have senior citizens and a good mix of people in your neighborhoods, senior citizens are on fixed incomes, and so they're not generating the same type of tax dollars that someone who's earning a fat paycheck would. The other problem is that taxes are going up 11.8% in the last 4 years, and a few further 20% going up in the next 4 years if Brian McMullen is reelected. How are those senior citizens going to suffer, or going to pay for that? They're going to suffer for it. And why? Because this government has refused to ask the very simple, free question: why is our economy faltering? Instead, they've chosen to assume what the problems are and build solutions around them. But any economist will tell you that that is backwards. You need to ask the question first, you need to have the answer second, and then third, you address what that answer is. But Brian and council have not asked that question. They've simply assumed what the answer to the question is, and unfortunately they're playing games with your money, your future. I ran in this election for one reason and one reason only, because I was concerned about the direction that the city was taking. My family and friends have always lived here, and they continue to live here, and they struggle as I struggle, and we struggle as you struggle. We're not rich folks. We're folks of modest means. But we love our city, and we understand that where the city is going is not a good place. New leadership, new blood, and new ideas need to be brought into the city. You can't expect someone who's been indoctrinated with 50, 60, 70 years of the same failed ideas to magically have a reawakening when elected in office and suddenly try a new direction. It's not happening. Our politicians have been raised in a different era. An era where it was okay to extract as much oil and as much factory gas as much as you wanted because no one was concerned about the environment. Well, now we know what the results of that were. Sustainability, environmental protection, these are ideas that are foreign to our politicians because they never grew up with them. If you want leaders with new ideas, with a fresh approach on things, you need people who are untainted in the political system. Young people who are born and raised on these ideas that we now know can help us flourish as a city going forward. There are plenty of very, very intelligent, well-established young people running in this election. People with good education, good experience, and good hearts. You need to listen to what they're saying. You need to give them a chance. Because frankly, things couldn't be much worse. But if nothing changes on Monday, it will be worse. On October 25th, listen. Listen with your heart. Vote with your heart and your mind. Let me be your sword and shield against those who would keep you down. Let me fight for you. Let me show you what I can do as your mayor. Trust me. Allow me the opportunity to show you how a city should be governed using ideas, progressive ideas, education and research, but most importantly, allowing you, the individuals, to have a say. On October 25th, vote David Dintino. Please have a look at my website, www.daviddintino.com. Do not allow yourselves to be fooled by the negativity in this campaign, by the fake plastic smile of the mayor. and the promises that he's made that you know are not true. Vote with your hearts, vote with your minds, vote towards the future. But most importantly, vote. www.daviddentino.com. Have a great weekend, and God bless.